All right. So my name is Devron Agunye,
My name's Landon Griggs.
and
It's the
this is
Jesus Wept podcast. You know what
sir.
I'm saying? You know a lot. Do we do that?
Not my fault. It's actually good down here, just the
Oh yeah,
quality.
yeah.
So
But basically, you know what I mean. We've been planning this for a while. A lot of y'all have been waiting for it for a long time. Finally, rushed here after practice, and trying to start it. So bear with us. Might be a little not that good.
hey, first time, but hey,
We're coming in here with some confidence, you know what I mean? We're in
exactly,
here, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it good, you know what I'm saying?
sir.
But basically some background. We both go to the same church. He goes to Magnolia High School. I go to Conroe High School. But we go to the same church, the Woodlands First. It's how we met, you know what I mean? And basically what we want to talk about on this podcast is just, like our faith and things to help others with their faith. You know what I mean? Because I've had a lot of people reach out and say that they struggle with this or struggle with that, and while we might not have all the answers to it, you know what I mean? We at least want to like let y'all know that like you're not the only one, and there's people out there. You know what I mean? To do it to help you out. You know what I mean? And maybe this podcast can help you out a little.
And I feel like me and Landon are. I feel like me and Landon wanted to do this for a while because on the church camps that we go to, we're always doing like interviews and stuff like that. And this past church camp that we went to, I was just talking to him, and like I really felt like what the pastor was talking about, and I feel like the our friend group really understood, and we're like, hey, like this is something we want to do. We want to really get into the word. So when we came back home, I texted Lane, and I was like, bro, like why don't we just like start a podcast and just like just like explain our faith and like our journey and like invite people on and like see what they have to say and stuff. So that's what we're here today.
Yeah, I feel like I don't like being with Dev, and we got like a whole group of people here at the church, and I just gave my life to Christ to like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure now, and like it's just been life changing for me, dude. And at first I gave my life, but I didn't really stick with it, and just having that good group of friends like them, it helps me so much. And like I just want like this to be some encouragement to y'all, like don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. I remember coming to the church for the first time, and I came here because of a girl, to be honest, and you know, but like I was really nervous to talk to anybody and everything like that. But like, just go for it, and it's church, and most people are gonna be nice, and if they aren't, then to each their own. But today we're gonna be talking about temptation because that's been a request from a lot of people, and we got some notes written down here.
All right, so one temptation that I'm struggling with, and I've been struggling with for a while, is I do a lot of things to like, if you want to look at it, I do a lot of things to like, I guess, be cool and get people to like me, and it may not be the best decisions I'm making. And so, one thing I want to be better at is just like doing things in not the worldly aspect, as in like I'm gonna do things in like the real Christian life. I don't want to go to school and be like, oh, I'm doing the school life, and then come to church and be doing like I'm a true Christian. I want to be both sides. I don't want to have to like be two faced to like get people to like me. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, like I do all the time, you know what I mean? I feel like as I've gotten into a good group with y'all, I kind of am getting better about it, and I'm sure you are too. Like we talked about it after camp and everything, but I feel like a lot of people struggle with like, like you got your school friends and then you got your church friends, and it's kind of like two different worlds and you don't really mix it. So it's definitely like a lot of people struggle with that, and my temptation that I deal with a lot of the time is probably lust, to be honest. And I know that's a big one that a lot of guys, because I can speak on guys' behalf. I don't know about girls, you know what I mean, but a lot of guys that I'm friends with, struggle with the same thing, and it's just lust. And like lust is such a weird type of temptation, Um, we got to think about where this temptation like stems from. You know what I mean? Because like I have it written down on here. The first step to overcoming your temptation is identifying it. Like what is it that I'm struggling with? What is it that I'm being tempted to do that I shouldn't be doing? And then we got to figure out what triggers that temptation, whether it could be a person, it could be a place you go to, it could be an app you get onto on your phone, and I think that's a big one that so much of our generation struggles with, because we have every temptation at the tip of our fingers, you know what I mean? And so like whenever that happens, you got to like think about it, like you have to attack it at the root. So if you're going on your phone and going on Instagram and you're following a bunch of like models, or you're seeing a bunch of like sexual videos, then like get to the root of that. Unfollow those people, unfollow the unnecessary people you have on there. Even if it pops up on your suggested, you don't follow any of them. Like get off of that app. You can end it right there. And I know that's a lot easier said than done sometimes, but I feel like that's a great way to start. And
What that does though is like when you're following like all those models and stuff, like you may feel like, oh, like it is what it is, like I'm just liking their pictures, but you're feeding your mind into like not like you're not edifying. It's not like what's the word? It's not just like that's where lust can come in. Like you'll like be tempted to do things that you may not want to do. Go on to a different app after you see certain things. As guys, like we know, like when we see, like we're attracted to by things that we see. So if you're feeding your mind with all this IG models and stuff, like you're not. I guess you're not gonna grow and be able to step out and be like, hey, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. It's gonna be hard for you to be like, hey, I gotta stop doing this because that's all you're seeing day in and day out. So if you're able to be like, hey, today's the day that I'm just gonna stop following all these IG models, I'm gonna stop doing this, then you'll be able to grow day by day. It's not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna stop today. It's not gonna be easy, but it's a process, and that's where you have to start.
exactly, that was explained perfectly. Like it's a process. Temptation is a process that leads to sin. And so when you let that one little thing creep in, like temptation is the enemy's weapon, trying to stray you away from God. Like what temptation is really trying to do is ruin your ability to love correctly in some cases, and ruin your relationship and closeness with God. Because whenever we do fall down to our temptations, I feel like a lot of the time, like me personally, I feel so like ashamed of it, and I don't really go to God for it. But we gotta face the temptation directly on, and we're gonna fall short like that. You can't just expect yourself like I'm never gonna give in to temptation, but it's also not an excuse to be like, oh, I'm gonna give in because that's just it happens, But you got to actively work at it, but you have to face it head on and face it with God, Like don't stray away from Him whenever you fall into these temptations. If anything, let it bring you closer to Him.
Yeah, like if you just, I guess, just put it all at His feet, just be like, hey, Lord, it's not my will, but it's Your will, you
Yeah,
know, just let Him just work in your world, basically.
and I feel like that's the common like Christian answer, like anytime you hear like anytime you go to someone about like, hey, I'm facing this problem, hey, I'm facing that problem, blah blah blah. Me personally, I feel like a lot of the time I usually get that answer like, oh, give it to God. But like that's the real answer, man. Like that is the truth. And it might sound cliche, blah blah blah, but like it really is the truth, you know. And
Like if that's not you, like if you feel like, oh, like I don't know what I would say, like the best advice I would give you is literally just like when you're by yourself, just talk to the Lord like He's your friend. Just be like, hey God, like it's Landon. Hey God, it's Devon. I just wanted to come and talk to you about this and this. And if you do that, like you're gonna see like you're gonna feel better about yourself, and you're gonna feel better about whatever the situation is. If you just be like, just talk to the Lord like He's your friend, because He's always here. You may not see it, but if you just sit there and be like, hey Lord, I want to talk to you about this, you just talk to Him. I promise you, you'll feel so much better about whatever the situation you're going through.
amen, bro. Like seriously, you don't have to have some specific type of way of praying. Everybody can pray in their own way, man. Like just talk to him like he's your friend, like he's right next to you, dude. It You will feel so much better when you have the Lord's strength with you. Whenever you are talking with him on a daily basis, whenever you're having that relationship, that's all he wants from us. You know, that he paid the ultimate sacrifice and for our sins, and all he wants from us is a relationship, dude. That's the true way to salvation. That's the true way to being in the kingdom of heaven with God, you know, like a relationship with Jesus Christ. And I feel like that's it's kind of off topic, but I feel like that's a big thing that a lot of people that aren't in Christianity, and even some people in Christianity, I feel like that's a big thing that a lot of people don't realize. Is like all you need is a relationship. You don't need to do a certain amount of good works for to be saved. You don't need to do a certain amount of good things to be saved or blah blah blah. Like you are saved already because of Jesus Christ, and all you need is to have a relationship with him. That's it. Just talk to him on a daily basis, man, and it'll help with your temptations, I promise you. I have a verse here. It's James 4:7. Submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. And basically, I have that written down because I just want y'all to know like temptation will pass. You know? Say you're sitting there and you get a temptation to do something, that temptation in your mind, blah blah blah. Like, first off, shut it down if you can. Shut it down at the thought if you can. But if you can't, I want you to like know, like, fight it off. Like, temptation will pass. Go and do something else. I read this study. I don't know where. Y'all can probably look it up, but it says the average time for temptation to pass is around 23 minutes. So like literally set a timer on your phone if you need to and go do something for 23 minutes. Like if you get a temptation from being on your phone, turn your phone off for 23 minutes. You know, it's a lot easier said than done, but it really isn't at the same time. Go into it with the mindset like I'm going to win today against my sin. Wake up in the morning saying I'm going to win today against my sin. I'm not going to let my sin overcome me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let this temptation overcome me. Shut it down at the thought, and whenever you do have those thoughts and you can't shut it down, remove yourself and try to wait it out. The biggest weapon against what are we talking about? I blanked again.
We're talking.
Temptation. The biggest weapon against temptation is patience, man. Like it really is. Like be patient. And remember your temptation is gonna make you stronger if you overcome it. So like say you play a sport, you know, we work out to get stronger. We throw up 135 one week, and then a few months later we can get 180, 165 or something, you know? Like you're doing that. You're doing something hard to be better and to overcome that weight and go on to greater weight, and it's the same way with our temptation. We're facing these temptations to get better and overcome this little temptation so we can face the big temptations in life we're going to face, because we're never not going to face temptations in life. You know what I mean?
I feel
And
like that patience, like temptation, it takes patience. To be honest, like when I first was thinking about temptation, I'm thinking like, oh, after I pray this first time, it's gonna be easy. It's over. But like you gotta realize like it's gonna take time. Like some people it may take a week, 2 weeks. Some people it may take like months, years. But it's the practice that you put into, and like you gotta devote your time and tell yourself, hey, I'm not gonna let this win today. You know what I'm saying? And I like how you said patience. Like that's a really, really big thing in temptation. It takes time. It's not just something that you're gonna be able to do overnight. If not, like we'd be perfect, but we're not. So you gotta really devote your time and be like, hey, I cannot let it win today. So yeah.
100%. And like, I remember when I blanked earlier. Um, it kind of came back to me while we were talking about all of this. What I was gonna say is like, a lot of the times our temptation comes from our phones. You know what I mean? But say we were talking about the models earlier, the people you follow on social media, and how that can contribute. But me, for example, I stopped following any sort of people like that like 2+ years ago because I was in a long-term relationship, blah blah blah. That's besides the point. But so I haven't followed people like that in a long time. And a lot of places that I get my temptation from is community. Like, I go to school, I'm with my friends at school, and my friends are like, oh, like, look at that girl, or, like, blah, 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 and I think that's something as followers of Christ to not give into that temptation. We have to speak out against people that are saying stuff like that. And I don't mean like, yo, bro, like, don't do that, like, all that different stuff. Like, no, like, come at it like, yo, man, like, I'm not trying to like be looking at people like that. Like, yo, like, I'm really not trying to sexualize someone like that. That's whack, like.
And that makes so much sense too because my mom actually has told me this so many times. She tells me the story time and time again. She's always like, if you let people know like what your beliefs are from the jump, they won't keep on doing the things that you dislike, like sexualizing girls. If you make it known, like, hey man, like in private, like, hey man, I don't really mess with that kind of stuff. It'd be cool if you didn't do that around me. That person, if you lose that friend, that's cool. But that person would be like, all right, this person doesn't like when I do this, so I'm not going to say this. And my mom told me the story about how my dad, he was at work and he was like, or there was a person that was like leaving the office or whatever, like he was going to a different job, and they were like, hey, we're going to the club to like see you off. Or to see him off, do you want to come? And my dad said yes, but at the time he didn't know like what the club was. But from the day he got to that office, he made it known like, hey, like I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, I believe in this. So a woman heard like, hey, you're always talking about like your beliefs, and the club is not something that you talk about. Like, is that sure? Is that something that you want to go to? My dad was like, oh, I didn't know that's what it was. So I feel like if you make it known to people like, hey, I don't really like what you're talking about. It'd be cool if you did do that around me. Then you'll like just be surrounded by like more positive thoughts and positive people and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like once you take that step, like, because it's hard, man. It's hard to speak out for that first time. It really is. I remember, like, trying to speak out to my friends and talk about my beliefs with them. And it was pretty hard at first, but pray about it, man. Like, ask for the strength to speak out. Because not only will they know, like, hey, yo, Dev doesn't mess with that. You know what I mean? Like, don't be talking like that around him. Don't be sexualizing people like that around him. But then they'll also look at you as like, man, this guy is happy. This guy is being completely fine, and he's not doing this stuff. He's not sexualizing girls and stuff like that. And like, it's also like, think about it as a guy. Would you want someone that saw your girlfriend walk past sexualizing her? Would you want someone that saw your mom walk past sexualizing her? You know what I mean? Like, just it's so normalized in our society nowadays, but that isn't how it should be. We should respect them completely, no matter. I hear this excuse a lot of times from people like, oh, well, she's not even wearing nothing, you know what I mean? Like, she barely got anything on, and I like the opposite around, blah blah blah. And like, that gives no excuse for you to sexualize someone. Like, even if even if like, hypothetically, they are wearing that to get your attention or something like that, as a man of God, you should not be sexualizing someone like that, like, at all. That is, and it's really like, you just got to face it head on, man. Like, take that step. Take that step. Face it head on. Find the root of the problem. Figure out where you can go from there. Is my phone making me do this stuff? Is my friends making me do this stuff? Talk to your friends. Delete that app on your phone, or unfollow those people on your social media, or turn your phone off once you start getting a temptation. And I feel like we've really gone over a lot of sexual temptation today, but I feel like that's the biggest one that a lot of people I know struggle with. And
Just like we're in high school, like we see it every day. We know what's going on, and it's just like we need. I feel like if adults are saying this, it's like, whatever, they're old, they know what they're talking about. But if you see like kids that are your age, like talking about the same thing, like, hey, this is not okay. Like it motivates you to be like, hey, man, maybe what I'm doing is wrong. And if you're letting people know, like, hey, I don't really mess with this kind of stuff, and it'd be cool if you didn't. Like, you may lose friends, but that's cool. Like, if they leave, then they weren't the one. You get me? You got to realize, like, they could be your closest friend, but if they're not leading you the pathway to the Lord, then they're just not needed in your life. They're just holding you back, and they're gonna tempt you more to do things that you don't want to do.
exactly, and like, I think
You all good, buddy? Like we
hey,
said,
nah, I was finna say something, bro. It was good.
hey, it's been a rough day. Been a very long day for both of us.
Oh, man.
You know, hey, first
Lucky.
time doing this too.
Yeah, bear with us. It'll get better. We promise. Yeah,
Yeah.
once we get into the hang of it, what was I gonna say? Man, how was your day today? Let's talk about it, and
Hey,
I'll think about.
so, today at practice, to be honest, let me just be like honest with myself. At practice today, my teammate, so my strength and conditioning coach, yesterday was like, hey, if you see your teammate doing something, get onto him, like let him know, like, hey, you could do better than this. I believe in you, right? And today at practice, I was trying to steal the ball, and it may get called as a fouling game. And my teammate goes, "Hey, Devron, stop reaching, stop reaching." He tells me it twice, and I literally, like, I lost it. I literally told him to shut the f up. I was like, "Bro, I cannot with you. Shut up. Leave me alone." And then I get to the sideline, I'm like, "Bro, I probably shouldn't have said that. Like, that definitely wasn't the right move." And
Mm-hmm.
my coaches, he came over to me and he's like, "Hey, like, he's not getting on to you. He loves you. He's trying to let you know, like, hey, that's probably gonna get called. Like, maybe you did steal the ball, maybe you didn't, but what we see is you swinging at the ball." And so I was just like, I had to come to myself and be like, you know what, that was not the right thing to do. That's my bad. So I went up to him and I apologized. I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry. That was not the right thing to do. So just happened today at practice.
I think that actually ties in really well into what we're talking about. Like, like, one temptation is like anger. Like, you'll get tempted to get angry and lash out. You know what I mean? But I mean, all of us have it inside of us. All of us get angry and like it. You know what I mean? But like, it's about how you handle it afterwards. And you handled it very well
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. But basically, I remember what I was about to say.
All right.
So, as Christians, or I don't even, as followers of Jesus, you know, um, I think we need to speak out. no matter what, to our friends or the people around us whenever they're doing stuff that we don't agree with. Like, say you're at school and your friends are at lunch and they start sexualizing someone, or they're cussing a bunch or something like that. You got to be like, especially because like I see this a lot of times, friends that claim to be Christians and followers of Christ, but they don't act that way. And you got to remember, like, maybe this is some motivation for you. Your What you do portrays an image on Jesus Christ. Whether you want it to or not, if you identify as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, the things you do have an automatic reflection onto Jesus Christ. Not literally, you know what I mean? But from the outside perspective, as someone who doesn't follow the faith, for example, if they see someone that is over here cussing, fighting with people, being a bully or sexualizing people, they're going to be like, yo, Christianity is whack. You know what I mean? Like, you have to represent God every single day that you go and do things. And I think that's something that has motivated me so much, is like, yo, I need to quit cussing at school because I'm wearing a Jesus loves you t-shirt and I'm constantly saying cuss words and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Hey, Wiley, come here real quick. Hold on. This is actually one of our friends in our group.
This is one of our friends in our group. You know what I'm saying? His name is Wiley.
Wiley.
He's 7'8". We call him a tree branch.
Hey.
You know what I mean?
Wiley, right here. So,
all right, give us a little introduction. You know what I mean? I didn't even know what guest was coming on.
I don't even know what to say.
Look to the camera. Hey, you gotta get in.
Oh, y'all recording?
You gotta lean down.
You
gotta lean down. Probably. I don't know if you'll see.
Like, what's your name? Like,
yeah.
Or like, what do you like to do? What do you like to do?
My name is Wiley. I play lacrosse. I just got an offer from TCU.
This guy is just he's lying. He's lying about all this.
He's lying.
He's lying about all this.
Nah, he's 7'8". He plays basketball, but he's trash. He can't guard me for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just because a little bit of time, we got church service. I want to ask.
And my phone's about to die.
I have one thing that I feel like you should be able to ask yourself. You should be able to ask yourself, the way I act at school, right? When people look at me at school, do they see Christianity? And if they don't, then you need to tell yourself, like, hey, I need to change my ways right now. And I struggle with that a lot. Like, if I ask myself that question, if you go to my school and be like, hey, is Devin a Christian? People wouldn't really know because how I act. And I could definitely be better on that. So that's a question I think that us kids and high schoolers need to like really understand and be like, hey, is the way I'm acting at school really portraying the Lord? And if you're not, then you need to change your ways.
Exactly. That's perfect. Exactly. Ask yourself that question. Like, am I portraying the love of Jesus Christ in the places that I go, or am I portraying a terrible person? And like, it's a hard question to ask because sometimes you don't want to be honest with yourself, but have some self-reflection and ask yourself that question. Like, am I portraying the love of Jesus Christ in the places that I go, or am I showing people and demonstrating the wrong way of how Jesus would act? You know what I mean? And we're all going to fall short. We're all going to make mistakes. We're going to act out. But it's not an excuse to not work to get to a point where you are doing better. You know what I'm saying? But, and that's pretty much...
Hey, it's pretty much it for this time. We'll be back again. We'll be a little better.
Yeah. Hey, drop down, like, send us a message on Instagram,
Snapchat. We'll just
drop your Instagram real quick.
Dev. To be honest, I can't really remember it.
Devron.daily, I think.
All right, Devron_daily. And if it's not, that is Devron_daily06.
Devron_daily06. Y'all heard it. And mine's Landon MG07. And You know, Wiley is a
What do you
guest.
know?
He's kind of shy. We'll have him on in a later episode. You know what I'm saying? But you know, quick little setup. Let us know if y'all like this. Let us know if there's anything y'all think we could work on, and be honest with us because we're open to all suggestions. And basically, like, send us a message if you're struggling with something. I want all of y'all to know, like, for real, me and him we're not gonna spread your business to anyone. If you come to us, we're not gonna spread anything bad about you. We're not gonna tell anyone what you tell us. Like, all we're gonna do is show you the love of Jesus Christ and try to help you with what you're going through, and like, spread God, man. Like, so basically that's the end of the podcast. You know, let us know if we need to work on anything, and let us know what y'all want us to talk about next. You know, or if there's anything y'all want us to go over in this episode, like blah blah blah. But hey, first episode.
It's a win. I think it's a win.
Oh, way to end it off. You know what I'm saying? Hey, peace.